So, back kick. Probably one of the more difficult kicks to perform, but when it's performed right, looks pretty awesome. Hello and welcome to the Norwich Karate Academy YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching this video and we hope you enjoy it. Before we go any further, I would like to point out that these YouTube videos are purely made to educate, raise a little bit of awareness and to help anybody who is watching this at home, whether you want to practice at home or something that you can apply when you go to the dojo. So the first part of this very easy guide to performing back kick is first of all focusing on the actual kick itself. If you can make sure that you are performing the kick without worrying about the spin or any fancy movements yet, if you can get the execution of the kick, this is going to help you so much more when you do start applying the spin, maybe even combinations. So it's very much like when you first start learning how to do front kick or roundhouse kick. It's making sure you get the preparation, the kick and the recovery first. Now, this is really simple. You can either do it against the wall or you can simply practice your balance straight away from this point. The first thing to think about is making sure you flex your hamstring, but you don't raise your knee in front of you. Your knees stay in line the whole time when you squeeze your hamstring, and then you think like you're going to bow. So when you bow, your heel starts to raise, which therefore aims your heel towards the target. Then you can build up from this, so you're making sure you squeeze your hamstring, you bow slightly to make sure your heel faces the target before you then execute your kick and return your leg back to normal so your knees are in line. It's making sure that your knee doesn't come forward and you swing or you overdo the recovery by throwing your leg forwards. So those three simple steps. Squeeze the hamstring, that's the preparation. You then bow, so your heel points to the target. You then execute the kick straight out and then you recover your leg back to normal. The next part would be to make sure that you execute the bowing action with the kicking action so they work together. So the next step would be to make sure you have the preparation, you bow and kick at the same time, so you extend your leg and then you recover. It's making sure that when you kick, you don't hold your leg out for too long, but it's still a thrusting action, enough to generate enough power when you do execute the kick. Don't worry about looking over your shoulder, just simply think, squeeze your hamstring, bow and kick. If you're worried about the height of the kick, just simply bow a little bit lower so that your foot raises without bending over so that you eventually will lose your balance. The next stage would be to incorporate a little bit of balance work and a little bit of movement so then you get used to moving whilst preparing for the kick, executing the kick and recovering the kick. So just a really simple exercise would be to start in front stance, but you're aiming to move backwards when you perform the kick. This takes away that spinning action. So when you go to perform the kick, that preparation starts with your knees together. Not in front of you, your knees are together. Don't worry about looking behind you. Remember the bowing action, you kick and recover, and then you step back. You can repeat this by stepping forward, or you can work backwards through the dojo. So you're making sure you get the full recovery, squeezing your hamstring, squeezing your legs together, and then you bow and kick, full recovery, and then you step down. It's really important to make sure you have that recovery so you don't end up kicking and dropping your foot. It's making sure that once you're prepared, you bow and kick, recover before you put your foot down. This will be a big help for when you do add the spin, because that recovery will be really, really important. So once you've got the hang of this kick in the first stage, it's now time to start adding the spin. Now, balance will play a huge part in this kick, but it's about making sure you first of all get used to spinning and moving your body in the correct way. So to start off with, you could practice doing the spin without worrying about the kick and making sure you turn in the correct way and you also use the correct mechanic to spin properly. The most common error that happens with back kick is there is a lot of swinging involved. You want to make sure that you are controlling your body, because if you swing your body around, that is a lot harder to control and you are going to lose your balance. You can't even perform the kick properly when you use momentum. It's about controlling your body. So when you spin, focus on squeezing your leg together and turn 180 degrees, keeping your back straight, and squeeze everything nice and close. So this way, my back is now turned and I've controlled my body, and now I can carry on spinning and make sure that I continue to spin. You can do this several times and start doing it without a pause. Once you feel used to this position, you can start continuing, so you continue spinning round and you're getting used to turning the correct way whilst also spinning. So now with that squeezing action in mind, it's now time to start trying to think about preparing for the kick as you spin. So keeping your hands nice and still, focus on that squeezing action, getting your knee together, lifting your foot up for the preparation. And now at this point, I can do the bowing action and kick and return my knee back to normal before I then step out and change my arms. This is why we said the recovery is really, really important. Because once you're in this position, you don't want to turn and drop your foot. You've got to ensure that your foot recovers and returns back to normal before you continue to spin. So one more time, don't move your arms, think about that squeeze, keep your knees together, that little bow and kick, recover the leg, step out and change your arms. Once you feel confident with that, don't start thinking about spinning faster. The key is to think about the controlled turn, execute the kick nice and sharp and recover before stepping forward. Now is not the time to start trying to speed it up and make it look fancy. So now you've got the basic steps of how to perform the kick. It's now time to start trying to put it together. So the best way to think of it is make sure you prioritize your technique to perform a good kick. Don't go using momentum or trying to spin really fast. The idea to think is as soon as your back faces the target, that is when you execute your kick and then try to recover your knee as quickly as possible. Think nice narrow corridor, you've got to spin, kick straight down the corridor, recover, and then step through the middle. So the final part is being able to progress your kick. How can you make your kick faster, sharper, even more dynamic? And the key is, instead of thinking about the spin, it's thinking about your kicking foot. So what we mean by that is, rather than going through that stage and that motion of turning, lifting your foot up to then execute the kick, the first thing you've got to start thinking about is moving your back foot up as quickly as you can. So the key is to try and show the bottom of your foot to the target as quickly as you can whilst you're turning your body. If you have this nice quick action here, you can then instantly think as soon as your foot faces the target, you can execute the turn and the kick at the same time. It's making sure that you still think about that squeezing action, still think as soon as your back turns to the target, you kick. But instead of going and turning with your shoulders, what you're essentially doing is turning with your foot. Show the bottom of your foot to your opponent or to the target with that quick twisting action. And as soon as your heel faces the target, turn your back and you go nice and quickly, making sure that you recover your kick as well before you step forward. It's making sure you show your foot, turn the body, kick nice and sharp, recover, and then step forward. If you wanted to disguise your back kick, you could use a kizami or a gyaski to try and hide the fact that you're going to do a back kick. It's distracting your opponent with a hand so they see this in front of their face or coming towards them before you then execute the kick nice and sharp. It's making sure that you still have the timing so you're not going 1, 2. It's making sure you follow straight away with that little bit of extra foot movement and then you can actually find that your kick will move so much sharper, and if you can hit your opponent, they don't stand a chance. So there you have it, a very easy guide to performing back kick. Perfect for if you're still trying to get the hang of the kick, you feel like you want to improve your kick a little bit more, whether that's speeding it up, executing it a bit more, or you're an absolute expert and I'm just trying to find a way to make it even harder for you. Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button before you go, and we'll see you next time.